Welcome back, everybody, to This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Perry, and I hope you've had a good week. Hope you're doing well. It's Friday night for me. I just got done streaming for a couple hours on twitch.tv/mybourbonpod with my friends Miranda and Josh, playing a game I had never played before called Pummel Party is what it was. And it was a lot of fun. If you missed it, you might not be following on Twitch, and you might not be following on social medias at MyBourbonPod for updates on stuff like that. But I hope you do follow, and I hope that you come and hang out with me next time I stream over there, because it was a good time. And Josh got a little drunk. Miranda's pregnant right now, so she's not drinking. But it was quite wild. And of course, I was drinking bourbon throughout the entirety of the stream. But it's Friday night. We're having a good time. We're going to get right into things because it is the Maker's Mark Cask Strength age-stated review and kind of discussion. I wanted to structure this episode a little bit differently because I was thinking about it earlier, and there's more to this than just going like, is it worth it? I think I want to discuss more of like what this is in general, than just going nose, palate, finish, and price by the time that it's all said and done. So we'll get there. But before we get there, we got some other stuff we got to take care of, such as the segment that we usually start off episodes with, known as Flying Blind, where I try something that I've never had before or something that I haven't had in a while and have kind of forgotten about. In this case, I am going to crack into a bottle that I have had for a very, very, very long time. So long, in fact, that the logo has changed, the packaging has changed, and this bottle doesn't even look the way that it does now. But I have not tasted Maker's Mark 46 in I don't even know when the last time that I tried this was. And if you're a video watcher, you can check out the design. It is the old style, the original style of Maker's 46, when it was really just kind of two numbers sitting next to each other. I'll pull up the new style that they have for folks to look at, because it is now in their traditional bottle shape. I think at one point they changed the logo around a little bit. I could be mistaken about that, but it's got a paper label on it as well, and it actually spells out French oaked instead of just kind of being a little bit more not necessarily like being coy about what it is that 46 means, but I think that it does them a lot of good by at least telling people that, hey, this is a finished product. You're not going to get you're not going to get the standard Maker's Mark experience by trying this product. It's, of course, 94 proof instead of the typical 90 proof that you get from Maker's Mark. So we are going to get into this here in just a second. Let me grab a glass. I have to sneeze as well. There literally is dust on this bottle, and I think it might be making me sneeze. I can't tell, too. It's very hard to tell from the image on Maker's Mark's website whether or not they have switched to the screw top for the Maker's 46, or if they have stuck with the cork. But as you could hear, back in the day, it was in fact a cork. Wait, what on earth is the actual packaging? Do they have a... Wait. Have they... Is this the actual packaging now with the red label? Or is it the tan label? Very unclear. Makers needs to maybe do a little bit of refinement with some of the stuff on their website. I don't know. I will say, I was a fan of, and I kind of miss this old rounded shoulder bottle shape. They pretty much did away with it around 2020 into 21, 22, if I'm not mistaken, because there was a glass shortage. And they had to kind of consolidate some of the production that they were doing on their bottles. And so a lot of their product wound up being in the same bottle shape. The same was true for Maker's Cask strength, too, which, again, we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. But what that led to, and I think wound up being a positive for the Maker's Mark line, was and I'll show it to you as kind of a... do this without looking. Never mind, I had to look. But the new, taller bottle shape that this supposed limited edition, limited bottling Maker's Cask strength with the age statement on it shape is, which is just kind of like it's roughly the same height as the rounded shoulder bottle was. But so it's, very close to the standard Maker's Mark bottle, but it's just taller, essentially. So slightly elongated, but I did really like that they took things in a different direction. And also, it was a different direction for the whiskey itself because it was French oak finished. It was a whole process of a new recipe and everything that they were trying out with their product, first time in the history and of the company and whatnot. But anyway, let's get into this. This is not just, mine, but for so many people, their first introduction into French oak finishing for bourbon, for whiskey, really in general. And what I love about it is a very subtle way of also giving people a different aspect of what double oaking can also be without explicitly saying that it is that process. And I guess it's not technically a full double oaking in the sense that you're putting it in a full second oak barrel, but the Maker's Mark process for finishing is using oak staves with different properties to achieve a new profile, I suppose. It's much richer, I feel like, than I remember. The color's quite nice, too. Kind of a golden honey. I like the nose, for sure. All right. Cheers, folks. Oh, man. Now, I've had Maker's 46 since I opened this bottle, and I'm pretty sure that this is the only bottle that I have of 46. And again, it's fairly old. I don't remember exactly. Let me try to make out the laser code here. When I got this bottle, there's no way. No, it can't be 2014. Because that's right when I would have turned 21. 2019, maybe. Yeah, 2019 seems a bit more reasonable. So if this really is a bottle that has been open for 6 years, it's held up remarkably well. I guess when I got this bottle of 46 is the last time that I had it. How we doing? We're doing great, aren't we? Why did I forget about this? Let's compare, shall we? We may as well. We're here. I just happened to look over at my bookshelf next to my desk and realized that this bottle was sitting there. So, and this one I know that I got within the past, year or so. And I'll be honest with you, I really can't make out what the laser code means. And here I am confirming my own suspicions, my own questions about what they did with the cap. And they did turn it into a screw top. And they got rid of the cork. So, mystery solved. If you've written in angry tweets, please delete them. I apologize. Just, we've all now figured it out together. Now, one of these bottles has been open for a significantly less amount of time than the other. But there is more of an alcohol ethanol burn on the older one for some reason. Older one again, oak forward, sweet. Really nice, just caramel corn note on the palate as well. They're nearly identical. The new batch, the newest version of this that I have, is strangely enough just a little bit spicier. It's not a huge change. And I think this speaks to a lot of the consistency that Maker's Mark has year after year after year, batch after batch after batch. And we'll talk about that a little bit more with the cask strength stuff because I think there's more variability in there. But in this particular case, with a product that is, it initially was supposed to be kind of a swing for them. It was supposed to take their market into a slightly different direction, but also give their consumers a chance to try something so new for their drinking experiences. It's very impressive that, and again, if this bottle is from 2018, 2019, it's very impressive that they have been able to maintain this level of consistency for that amount of time. I mean, this is spectacular to try side by side. And it's just very good too. I mean, honestly, 46 and Makers in general, just as an everyday drinker, for me personally, is not something that I typically will go to. My dad, of course, if you know the history of the show, his drink of choice when I was growing up was Makers on the Rocks with a splash of water. And so I've always kind of associated Maker's Mark with just being kind of the face of bourbon in some ways. But all that being said, though, it's refreshing and kind of a nice change of pace to go and try 46 again after not having had it for a hot minute. So it was fun. It was good. I want to talk about what I have been drinking recently. I got to hang out with Chad Watson, my daily bourbon, last night for my live stream. We tried some unreleased batches of Rare Character Limited Release. If you want to go and watch that, you can do so over on YouTube or watch the video on demand, the VOD, on Twitch. Either way, support the show, of course. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm the only one who steers this ship nowadays. Trying to think otherwise. Oh, I'll tell you what I did. I celebrated Papa Ritter's birthday this past weekend. I brought over for him some fun stuff to drink on. I brought one of the A. Altschuler bottles that I got sent. The one of the bourbons from the Woodwork Collective that we've done some content on before and talked about on the podcast before. Of course, this was one of their blends that had 10, 18, and 19-year-old bourbon in there, and just phenomenal. I brought the Calumet 15 over because why not? just a fun pour to have, and I still hold this in my heart of hearts that it might be one of the most hidden gems on the market that you can just go into basically any big box liquor store, or really, I mean, some mom and pop shops too, and just get 15-year-old Barton for $110. I think that is a steal. I think that you are doing yourself a disservice by not having a bottle around if you can afford it. But it's such a great product on its own, and it's not like the 16-year is that much more expensive either. It's like $125, I think. I need to review or at least try the Bottled and Bond that Calumet has put out. It's $100. I just need to get around to it sometime. But yeah, just a couple fun special pours. And then last night on my way home, I was like from streaming with Chad, I was like, you know what sounds really good? Just some big old Miller High Lifes. It's just Miller High Life, you know? And so I stopped at the corner liquor store on my way home, and I grabbed a 6-pack of Miller High Life, and I had that, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. Like, I almost, before I started recording, grabbed one just to have like on the side while I was recording. Like, I'm still even considering doing that while I'm sitting here and talking too. Also, sorry I'm stuffy. I don't know why. I think it's because the weather has been changing so much, and I'm just kind of stuffed up right now. Okay, so let's shift our attention now to the main topic of conversation and our main focus, I guess, just for this episode, which is going to be Maker's Mark Cask Strength, and specifically the 2501, which is a limited bottling according to Maker's Mark themselves. Now, I have combed over the Maker's Mark website. And when you go to, and here's what we'll do. I'll show you this just for anybody who is watching the video version of the podcast. Let's go to the homepage for Maker's Mark. Okay. You got this nice landing page. Discover the bourbon fans call him must drink. They're talking about Maker's Mark 46. Okay. They're highlighting 46 cask strength. You scroll to the bottom. They're highlighting Keeper's Release, regular makers, their basic lineup, including, of course, cellar aged, and then private select. Private selection, I guess, is the correct phrasing for that. However, there is nowhere on the landing page, the home landing page, where they mention this limited release of this cask strength. And even when you go to their limited release bourbons page, they don't mention it. They have the wood finishing series. They have cellar aged. They have Greats of the Gate 2025, private selection, and global travel exclusives. But nowhere is the cask strength age stated release mentioned. Just to confirm, going through all the other pages, see, just in case, that it didn't get slipped in somehow. No. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to the regular Maker's Mark cask strength page. Not even on this page do they talk about Maker's Mark cask strength with the age statement. What is this release? What happened? Okay? Now, here's the other side of this from my perspective. And you have probably noticed this too. This has been the only Maker's cask strength product available at liquor stores for like the past month. This is not a complaint from me. This is sheer confusion. Because if you're going to call this a limited bottling, if you're going to make this a specific batch, and then you're not going to have separate from this limited bottling, Maker's Mark cask strength as it stands, just sitting on the shelf as an alternative offering, what is this? What on earth? Like, where is the clarity from them? There was no, like, press release. There's nothing on their website. There's just, like, confusion as to where this is supposed to exist. Like, even, and not to rely too heavily on Breaking Bourbon, but usually Breaking Bourbon is pretty reliable on new releases and reviews in terms of like, hey, this is something that, you know, you should be on the lookout for. And it's either going to, you know, replace this product, or it's going to be a limited release, or they're going to just have a press release come out. Now, it was a few months ago, I want to say, at this point, as of the release of this episode, right? So this is November of 25 when this episode comes out. And a couple months ago, I was doing my live stream, and during my live streams, I like to look at the news of the week for bourbon. And during that, I also like to look at TTB labels and I just talk about, new releases and stuff. The TTB labels at that time included this Maker's Mark Cask Strength label. And again, it was unclear as to whether or not this was going to be the replacement for Maker's Mark Cask Strength, or if it was just going to be a limited release. And it just doesn't seem like there's any clear language. Like, I understand that this is in their limited bottle. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that is the clear-cut answer, and I'm thinking too much about it. Maybe that's it. But in the end, like, why would there be a short... Like, I literally went to 3 different stores today so I could find one bottle of regular Maker's Cask Strength so I could put it up against this bottle just to see the difference. Okay? This is not a gripe about the amount of work I had to do. This is not complaining about the shortage. It's just pure confusion. Like, what is the age on the Cask Strength that's in this? Is it actually 7 years and 2 months? Has it always been that age? If so, what's stopping them from putting an age statement on this product at all? They could easily do that, I feel like, and not have to make it a limited bottling. I'd be happy to pay the $40 or $45 for an age-stated barrel-proof bourbon from Maker's Mark. I think this is genuinely the best wheated bourbon at barrel proof on the market. I will say it. I think it is an incredible value. I don't know what else to say. Like, I think it's just great. I think this is of the core value. I think I said this last week too, as I was wrapping up last week's episode. But of the core products at Maker's Mark, like their core product line, I think this is the best bourbon that they have. And again, doing this side by side, we're going to see how it actually compares, if there is really much of a difference. But it's just, I don't get it. And like, when I was, I again went to 3 different stores. Okay. I went to Total Wine first. I saw James Wolverton, friend of the show. And he was like, we're just out. We're just out. I looked at the shelf and there was just none there. Right. I was like, that's kind of strange. And so I drove over to Liquor Barn. And I was just kind of looking around the age-stated bottles, and the clerk that was there was like, what are you looking for? And I was like, I'm just trying to find a regular bottle. And he was like, we haven't had any in for a while. And he told me to go look at the display that was near their deli. There was none there either. No big deal. And so I ran over to the Meijer liquor store. Meijer's just a grocery chain for anybody who doesn't know. I don't know if it's like Southern specifically, or if it's regional, at least on this coast of the United States. But all that being said, though, that was where I finally found it. And I walked in, and it was the last daggum bottle on the shelf. And I said to the guy at checkout, I've been all over the place looking for this bottle. It was on sale, too. It was for like $40. He was like, that's because they don't have any. Like, there was a shortage with the distributor. So it seems to me like this is being replaced. The non-age stated edition of this Cask Strength bourbon is being replaced by the age statement. But if that's the case, why put it in the limited bottling version and call it a limited bottling? It's just like, I feel like Charlie from It's Always Sunny with his big cork board and all of the yarn and everything, and just having no particular answer for this. But if Maker's Mark would just be clear about what they were doing with this release, I wouldn't have this conversation. I wouldn't have the confusion. I'd be like, we're just going to do a review. We're going to compare it to regular Maker's Mark cast strength, and we're going to move on. But that being said, though, I at least want to share with you, and maybe you've had these same, points of confusion as well, and we can not necessarily commiserate, but at the least, we can work through it together. So all that being said, let me know if you have also found out or found yourself in this same or similar scenario. In the comments, send me a DM, tweet at me, whatever, because I am just very curious. Send me an email, whatever. I gotta know. Like, I can't be alone in this. I feel like I'm. If there's one of us, there's many of us. Anyway, fresh crack on the non-age stated Maker's Cast Strength. This is batch 2306. It's 109.5 proof. Lord. And then we're going to pour a little bit of the age stated. Now, if you don't know, this is 7 years, 2 months, 112.6 proof. And I did not fully think about this. Hang on just one second. But I don't think I've ever talked about the mash bill for this product on the podcast before. And sure enough, it is listed in at least one corner of the internet and on whiskeyandmyweddingring.com. Our buddy David Levine. He did a review of Maker's Mark cast strength. And he's got the mash bill listed as 70% corn, 16% red winter wheat, and 14% malted barley. Now, I trust David, and I believe that is true. I think if you were to go to other spots on the internet, you could also find that information and back it up. I'm not doubting David. Why does it sound like I'm doubting him? I'm not. I would never doubt David. Ever. So, let's start with the 109 proof non-age stated bourbon. Cherry, dark chocolate, little bit of cinnamon and bacon spices, a hint of clove, oddly enough, too. Not a lot of ethanol burn, which some batches of Maker's Cast Strength can get. This is something I also wanted to talk about. I do love Maker's Cast Strength. I think that there are some batches that are better than others. Once it kind of crosses that threshold past 109, like into 110, 111, 112, I think that's when it really shines. But what are you going to do? I was kind of at a loss. This is the only bottle I was able to find again. So had to do what I had to do. All that being said, though, it smells great. I mean, it really does. All right. Let's get into it. The finish is a little thin. the finish just kind of goes more toward, oh, you know what? As I'm talking through it, it's starting to show up a little bit more. But there is this moment, and it's almost like it's a distinct separation, almost like you would find between, if you were watching like a play, signaling the end of the second act and as the third act was starting, where there is like a puff of alcohol that just kind of like, and it disseminates from your palate, and it moves into slightly sweeter notes, a little bit of the bitter alcohol, or excuse me, the bitter barrel char. But it's really pretty solid overall. Cherry syrup, dark chocolate. It's really consistent from the from the nose to the palate. Funny enough. Yeah. I like this. I don't just like this. I love this. It's, again, I think really phenomenal. I'm starting to get a lot of cinnamon on the back end. I feel like I'm breathing fire. Got a little cinnamon mint. Huh. Interesting. Okay. 112 proof, 7 years, 2 months. Supposed limited bottling. The one thing that I'm noticing on the nose. Is that it's a little more full. Not like by a wide margin, but at the very least, it's enough to point it out. That's really good enough. It does have a French vanilla note that was not there on the non-age stated version. But overall, it's largely kind of the same. The difference would be almost like going from one private selection that is missing a couple of barrel staves to another that has those 2 barrel staves added in. I think is maybe the most approximate way that I can put this within the confines of Maker's Mark. Okay. I've lost the cinnamon, almost cinnamon like red hot, in favor of that French vanilla note. The cloves kind of coming back though. Little bit of honey. Hang on. It's so good, man. It really, I think that here is my honest evaluation of this. If this is the next, like, just evolution or step up for Maker's Mark cask strength, that's fine. Don't change the price. Keep it at $45 or $50 or $55 or whatever the heck it is. absolutely do not change the price. If this is like so slightly marginally different, it doesn't make any sense for there to be a price difference between the two. They're so similar. Which, I mean, maybe is another testament to, the lack of variability between batches. Like, honestly, again, maybe these non-age stated batches always kind of had something close to, if not at 7-year bourbon in there. I don't remember exactly what the, because I think it's close to like 6.5, 7-year-old bourbon that typically goes into a Maker's Mark batch. But either way, it's so funny too, because it's very obvious that we have this notion of, well, once it has the age statement on it, we know that the product itself is going to be better because it's going to be older than what it was before it had the age statement put back on the label. And it might not always be that case, I mean, it gives them a window of grace at distilleries to use younger product while also what is that word? While also being able to put in blend in older whiskey to balance it out. But they're not beholden to the age statement of, well, we have to put in 7-year, 9-year, 12-year as the base product, because that does take time. With all that being said, though, if Maker's Mark is just actively only putting 7-year bourbon as the youngest product in there, why wouldn't they just do that as an age statement? I think that's, just kind of, it's pretty admirable. I wouldn't have any problem with it. I think it just works for them. Let me go back and forth a little bit here too, because I don't know what I need to really kind of hone in on what the distinct differences are between these two. Regular cask strength, mellowed out a little bit, kind of lost that cinnamon note. Really good. Dang it, man. I love getting to do this. Can I just say for a second, I'm very thankful that I've been able to do this for 8 years. I'm very thankful I've been able to do this for 407 episodes, week after week after week, and that people still tune in to me talking about the nuances of bourbon. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best. There's not even like, I mean, maybe slightly more oak. I think there is just very slightly more oak, but not enough where, not enough again, where I think that they would need to make a drastic change to the way that this product, that the Maker's Mark cask strength is available on the market. I think that it just needs to be at the same price. It needs to be readily available, and don't change anything else. Like, I love the age statement. I think it's super cool. That's it. I think that's my review. Like, I don't feel the need to like fully dissect this in a way that gives it numbers necessarily, because this, in a way, while this is very good, it's not like, it's just not that much different. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I found the one single batch that had like 7-year period bourbon in it from Maker's Cask Strength, and the 2 months really made it a huge difference. But if you have also done this, again, please let me know, because I want to try this with other batches, or if there are, different iterations of this that deserve to be observed, I would like to know, or I'd like to try it. It's just like, I mean, again, like this is what, 2306. So it's not even like a batch from last year, or even like the oldest batch from 2014 when it first came out. This is a really recent batch. But again, not the most recent batch. It shows consistency. It shows that they know what they're doing, at least. And hopefully this is not a game changer for the way that this product exists in the tiny little hole, not tiny, but in the hole that Maker's Mark fills on the shelf. So that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. That's my rambling. I hope that made sense. So I'm going to do something crazy here, though. I'm going to blend not just the two of them together, which I'm going to try first. It just, honestly, that tastes like I just blended the same two. I just poured leftover bourbon from the same bottle into from two glasses into the same glass. I had some 46 left over as well, so I'm going to pour that in here too. So if anything, I've got like half 46. So 23. I've got Maker's Mark Cask Strength 23. But it's not even really cask strength because 46 is watered down. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know, brother. I who's to say? We're going to move on to Barrel Rings. It's a segment of the show where you can participate and be a part of it. You can call in and leave a voicemail or text and just leave a message with the hotline number 859-428-8253. I'll listen to them on air or read them out and respond to them. I don't cherry pick them either. I just get the ones that have been sent in over the past week and present them as is. I don't listen to them. I don't listen to them until I listen to them, or read them until I read them. And we got one from old Chad Watson, My Daily Bourbon.
Yeah, still cringing at that voicemail message. Driving, as per usual, thinking about tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, Perry and I will be going live streaming, from an unknown location. But, Perry, that brings me to the question of, you're going to answer this after the fact, what pours are we having on the live stream? And what's the topic? Because you never told me. Surprisingly, no pickup trucks riding my ass or anything, but there is a small Toyota Corolla in front of me who's going like 35 at a 55. So, anyway, yeah, Perry, see you tomorrow. And happy to be the weird third wheel on this date that's yet to end.
Okay, well, very strange way to go about that, but thanks for calling in. As always, Chad. Chad started the trend of calling and leaving a barrel ring while you're driving your car. So if you just so happen to be listening to the podcast while you're driving and you want to hit a little pause button and send in a voicemail, again, that number is 859-428-8253. All of the things that I talk about on the podcast as far as like plugs and whatnot, they are also in the description below for your convenience. But I also call them out because it's a good way for people to also be reminded of them. But what was the topic? Well, if you haven't gone and watched that yet already, I talked about it earlier in the episode. We tasted some unreleased Rare Character products, 2 Rare Character limited release bourbons, batch 13 and 14. 14 is going to be the last bourbon that Rare Character is going to put out for the year as far as their limited release products. We tried a rye that they're putting out. I cannot for the life of me think of the name of it off the top of my head. Something Knoll. Yeah, something Knoll. Whatever. Everything was fantastic. And then I also blinded Chad with some pours as well because I thought that would be fun to do. Why not? Why not, man? I mean, you know, he was bringing some stuff up for me, and I blinded him with mostly ryes. Or it turned out. I also had a boo rye in there, and then a bourbon. And I won't ruin that for anybody who hasn't seen that just yet. So go and check that out. And Chad and I got up to some shenanigans, and it was a good time. Good time had by all, though. Going to move into, though, last couple segments of the show, High Proof Hot Takes, where I air grievances or provide hot takes for things that, well, I just feel like you need to hear me say that you might not be ready to, and I want you to just accept them as fact. And here's the thing. Look, I do actually have a high proof hot take this week. I think that there is one fast food item that stands heads and shoulders above all other fast food items. I'm not a big fast food guy. I don't typically get a lot of fast food. But if I'm going to break and get something that is spectacular, I'm going to a place that is already not at the top of people's lists, but hear me out, okay? It's my segment. You're already listening to my podcast. Bear with me, okay? I'm a big Mediterranean food person. Mediterranean, Middle Eastern food. That's where I typically go for. That is my sweet spot. There's not really an option for that with fast food, except for one place. That's Arby's. They have a Greek gyro that is absolutely spectacular. It is as good as any mom and pop Greek restaurant you go to in town. 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, whatever. No onions, extra meat. That's the way I get it. Get it. Try it for yourself. Tell me I'm wrong. I will fight tooth and nail for this. It is so good. If you've never had it, please try it. My high proof hot take for the week. Not one to recommend fast food, of course, but here we are. Ooh, the nose. The nose on the super blend. It smells like coffee. It smells like a fresh pot of coffee in the morning. That is so good. That almost drinks like a private selection. That is crazy. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. Tips and bits, segment of the show where I recommend things that you should watch, read, listen to, check out, that I have also been enjoying over the past week or so. And I'm just going to say, it's not always bourbon related. Sometimes it is. It might just be the easiest thing for you to do is take half a pour of Maker's Cask Strength and half a pour of Maker's 46 and blend it together. And brother, let me tell you, you got yourself a stew. This is crazy good. This might be the best thing I've had all podcast. Shut it down, man. Shut that down. I love it. Absolutely love that. I have a couple other things that I want to recommend. I know that this is I'll go broad and then I'll go niche. Okay. I know that it is very popular right now, and I know that everybody has talked about it, but I want to at least give my seal of approval to K-pop Demon Hunter, because we watched it with Eden, our 5-year-old, last week. Yeah, last week. And I loved it. I thought it was crazy, crazy good. This is, I mean, nothing new for anybody who has heard anything positive about this movie. But it's on Netflix. It's about a K-pop trio who are also demon hunters, which if you needed a little bit more explanation about it, there you go. But the music is incredibly catchy. The animation is phenomenal. It reminds me of Into the Spider-Verse, or the Spider-Verse movies, really, to be honest with you. It's just good. Like, I wasn't even really entirely expecting it to be as kid-friendly as it is, and for it to hit as hard as it did with my 5-year-old, with Eden, it worked great. Like, truly, it was super, super good, and very engaging. And as somebody who is, and you thought that when Eric left, you were going to stop hearing about anime and manga, but no, sir. I still watch stuff. I still read stuff, but I don't talk about it as much because I'm not as encouraged to, because he's not here anymore. But as somebody who does believe in and want to encourage, reading Eastern cartoons, really watching Eastern cartoons, reading, that stuff. I think it's like a really good gateway for kids into it, and it's a good way for, like, if they're interested in it, like past that, I think like even Dragon Ball is such a spectacular story, an accessible story for kids too, which is already an adaptation of another pretty famous fable, which I won't go into here because there's a lot about that. But anyway, yeah, K-pop Demon Hunter is awesome. I really loved it. And then I will go more niche. Again, of course, what are you going to do? I'm a dad. Sometimes there are kids shows that I can't help but recommend. This one came as a surprise. And Lucy, my wife, said, you should put this on for Eden. It's low stimulation. It's only got a couple of seasons, but she said, like, she had heard about it. It was something that we should try out. And she just had heard that it was phenomenal. It's on Apple TV. I don't know where it is internationally, but it's called Lovely Little Farm. It was originally like a British show, or at least the actors are British. It's just so gentle. Like, I don't know a better way to put it other than gentle. And the characters are inviting, and it feels like lived in world, but it's also a little bit hyper realistic, which is fun too. I mean, you're not, why should you feel, like everything has to be the most real when you're a kid. It's just good, it's good, wholesome TV. The characters live on a farm. They've got animals that they're trying to raise. I think in the first episode, this is not really a spoiler, but they discover an egg that they all decide they need to take care of. And I will not go any further than that, because if you've got kids, you're going to want to watch it with them. It's just a fun relaxation tool. And that, I think, does it for this week's episode. This was a fun one. I really enjoyed doing this, and my brain has been working on overdrive about this release for some stupid reason. And I hope to do more stuff like this so that I'm not firmly lodged into just reviews in the future, because as I've talked about previously, like I don't want to only do reviews where it's like nose, palate, finish, and price, and let's talk about only tasting notes and everything, but like let's discuss what this means for the market, and let's talk about what this means for the community and whatnot. But like, just broad pictures for stuff. But let me know what you think as well. If you enjoyed the format of this episode, I know that, again, as I'm flying solo I've been flying solo over the past, 6 months? Things have looked very different for the way that the show has operated, but I think that the squeaky wheels have been they've gotten the grease that they've needed, and I feel like things are operating at a much higher capacity, and I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you are too. We'll figure out the future as it moves forward. I'm working on guests. I'm working on interviews. I'm working on what's coming up over the next couple months for the show, and then we'll hop right into the new year. We've got the best of episode. Well, not best of really, but like best of what came out this year episode. That will happen either towards the end of 25 or very beginning of 26, which is crazy that we're at this point that we're talking about the new year already. Not the point that I thought we would be at now here in November, but we are. So what are you gonna do, man? You know, things change, and I'm really I'm in a good groove, and I hope you're here along for the ride with it as always. But I want to let you know that if you are enjoying what I'm doing, you can get more of it. You can support what it is that I'm doing by heading to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast and chick. I can't get the word out. Chuck in $1 a month. And you can hop on our Discord for that little amount of money. But from $5 and up, you get bonus content every single daggum week. Mondays, there is a bonus episode. On Tuesdays, there are the pregame chats where I just get warmed up for episodes and talk about some stuff, answer some questions from the community, usually from the Discord. And also release the unedited, uncut version of the podcast where I throw in some bonus stuff that is only for the Patreon community. Patreon, you might have noticed that there has not been anything bonus up until right now, but I am telling you, as I have just crossed into the next day where it is 12:36 a.m., I am going to record something bonus for you at the tail end of this episode. So stick around. Do not stop the episode. I am not done just yet. Stick around. Don't stop listening, Patreon. You got something else coming for you. But there are other tiers where you can get other rewards. Once again, that's patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. You can also become a free member where you can just kind of follow along with some updates. There's not really anything bonus over there other than just like regular updates. I'll start posting some like social media stuff that I do on Twitter and Facebook and threads and whatnot that you would get otherwise for the free tiers. You can follow, speaking of social media, the social media accounts at My Bourbon Pod everywhere, basically, because that's where I am. If you want to follow me personally, I am at pritter1792, pretty much everywhere, too. If you want to send questions or comments via email, that's thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. You might be asking yourself, why on earth is it This Is My Bourbon Shop? The reason behind that is because before I started the podcast, I actually started an apparel and merchandise shop because I'm a graphic designer and I just have a passion for graphic design. And I have a passion for bourbon, of course, and I wanted to make some stuff that you can still put on your body. Shirts, hats, sweatshirts, shower curtains, bath towels, beach towels, stickers, phone cases. I'm forgetting the other stuff. Buttons, puzzles. There's also cups, mugs, stuff like that. Bourbonshop.threadless.com. I do all the designs that are over there. You can get logo merch. You can get little mottos and phrases and stuff like that. Christmas is coming up. There's the Christmas is Made for Bourbon merch that's over there. There's also Santa's favorite bourbon drinker mug, or not mug. There's just a shirt. There's also a mug that says it's Christmas Mom that I made a couple of years ago that I just anticipated people would put bourbon in and their mom would yell at them for it. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny. Get that mug, drink bourbon out of it on Christmas morning, have your mom yell at you for it. It makes me laugh. I don't know what else to say. As I said earlier, you can leave a barrel ring, 859-428-8253, leave a voicemail, or send us a text message. We have a P.O. Box as well, P.O. Box 22609, Lexington, Kentucky, 40522. And then last but not least, you can leave us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast app of choice. The easiest one is the Apple Podcast app, which is what I choose to, well, not really choose to, but what I check regularly. And there hasn't been one in a minute, but if you listen on the Apple Podcast app and you haven't done so, please leave a 5-star rating and review. I'd appreciate it. And I'll actually read it out here on air as well. That does it for the main episode of the podcast. Patreon's getting a little bit bonus stuff here on the tail end. But next week, I am going to change things up just a little bit. I know I've been kind of loosey-goosey with the way that things have been on the show. But next week, I was talking with my sister, and I was thinking about my interview that I did with Chuck from Appalachia, and he was talking about cornbread THC seltzers. And I think, what the heck, we're going to do a little review of some of those. So next week, cornbread THC seltzers. We're going to do some reviews here. So tune in for that. I am very excited for that episode, but I hope you have enjoyed this one. I will see you next time, though. Until then, I am Perry, and this is my Bourbon Podcast.